Welcome, everyone. As people are joining us, we will be muted during our in-gathering music, which shows you the ways into our building on Rugby Road. Okay, today's service is all on Zoom to give our staff a day off, but we're so lucky to have James Smith at the piano in our sanctuary to offer us a prelude now, as we center for worship together and put greetings to one another into the chat box. Thank you for that gorgeous music, James. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our community worship with the UU Congregation of Charlottesville. I am Debbie Norton, happy to be serving as your worship weaver today. This is a really fun way to be part of the congregation, and the Reverends Linda and Leah make it easy by guiding us through each service. If any of you would like to be a worship weaver, let Reverend Linda or me know. Today, we are so grateful to Kelly Dryden, our AV Tech leader, who is running our Zoom service, and Laura Horn, serving as our virtual usher, giving Sean Scally a Sunday to be home with his family. Well deserved. Kelly and Sean are great folks to work with, and they would love to train any of you who would like to learn how to offer AV tech support to our services. On this Sunday after Thanksgiving, it is good to see everyone here for this online service. Jim Gorham is a member of our Board of Trustees, and he would like to offer you his own greetings.
Hi, I'm Jim Gorham, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. And we're just coming to the end of the Thanksgiving weekend. I spent a lot of this time with family and remember to be so thankful for everything that I have in my home life. And I consider this place my second home, and I'm so thankful to have all of you. And I'm so thankful that you're here with us today. So I offer my welcome on behalf of the board and hope you will be with us every Sunday. Thank you.
We come together this morning to remind one another to rest for a moment on the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next moment until we claim for ourselves awareness and gratitude. We gather in this community of laughter and silence, memory and hope, hallowed today by our presence together. Please join me now in singing a hymn, followed by our chalice lighting provided by the Abbott family.
We are the Abbott family, and we light our chalice as a symbol of our UU faith.
We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs.
We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together.
We
light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is a church of open minds. This is a church of helping hands. This is a church of loving hearts.
Our congregation's chalice has been lit and will have its own screen throughout the service. If you have a chalice in your home, please light it now.
After all the sun and rain, after all the joy and pain, after all our questioning, after all our answering, we find ourselves here in this place of time and space. We light the chalice of our hopes. We find the words that mean the most, honoring the one and all, caring for both great and small. We find ourselves here in this place of time and space. We sing of universal love. We sing the unity of grace. We're of the earth below, of stars above. We're on a journey, traveling through this time and space. Sometimes alone, sometimes with friends, we travel on roads without end. Now gathering, for here we're blessed, find the strength to make the quest. We're on a journey, traveling through this time and space. So we light the chalice of our hopes. We find the words that mean the most, honoring the one and all, caring for both great and small. We find ourselves here in this place of time and space. We find ourselves here in this place of time and space.
Thank you to Ellie Ransom for adding those beautiful images to my video. It's so good to be with all of you on Zoom. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I have a little confession to make. This weekend, the weekend after our Thursday Thanksgiving celebrations, this weekend's always been a confusing time for me. I'm still enjoying eating turkey and pie leftovers, and now I feel the pressure to find a Christmas tree. I'm still raking leaves of autumn away, and there's pressure to put up holiday lights and decorations. I'm still savoring time with my grandchildren, but I feel the pressure to go shopping because the stores may run out or because the online sales won't last. Wait, I love the December holidays, but I was still giving thanks. Today, many Christian churches are celebrating the first Sunday of Advent. They're preparing for the big arrival of the baby Jesus. But wait, aren't many others still watching Thanksgiving football games or preparing to travel home from their Thanksgivings? And this year, isn't it even more confusing for Jewish folks? Because this year, the first night of Hanukkah is today. So I'm trying to figure out what season I'm in right now. I can find some inspiration from this video, which helps discern the essence of the Jewish holiday.
So let's just put it out there. Hanukkah is not the Jewish Christmas. Yeah, they're both holidays that occur in the wintertime, and sometimes even on the same day, one on December 25th and one on Kislev 25th. You know Kislev. They both bring more light into homes during a time of shortened daylight, and for a lot of people, they both involve present giving. What is Hanukkah?
Kelly, could you put the sound back on the video, please?
Sorry, it's loading. I'm not quite sure why it's buffering.
Hanukkah then? If you're asking this question, then know that you're in great company, as it's the very same question the ancient rabbis asked each other when they developed the holiday. They discussed, is the essence of Hanukkah about a little bit of oil that lasted 8 days, or about a military victory of the few over the many, some combination of both? Though many Jewish holidays find their roots in the Torah, Hanukkah finds its source in the Book of Maccabees. And while it can appear to be all about playing dreidels and lighting the menorah, technically called the Chanukiah, it is also a miraculously meaningful 8 days for the Jewish people. You may remember the old story, something about finding a container of oil in the Second Temple in Jerusalem that burned for 8 days beyond its one-day capacity. Great! You've got one of the foundational Hanukkah stories down. The other story is about the Maccabees who risked their lives for religious freedom against a bullying government and a culture of assimilation, when the mainstream culture not only forced Jewish practice underground, but also literally destroyed the center of Jewish life, the temple. Judah, the Maccabee, along with his family, stood up against the opposition and ignited a revolution. Whichever foundational story resonates, it's about rising to the occasion. Sometimes oil outlasts itself, and sometimes people outdo themselves. While exchanging presents has become mainstream in Hanukkah celebrations, for many, the rituals and how-tos of Hanukkah center around cultivating presents. The word Hanukkah means dedication. When the temple was nearly destroyed and Jewish life almost destroyed with it, a small group gathered in strong force to rededicate their temple. So Hanukkah is a time to ask, what do I want to rededicate myself to? A cause, a practice, a habit? If this sounds too serious, breathe easy. Remember, we're gathered around lighting the menorah, spinning dreidels, and eating latkes. Lighting a menorah may be the only Jewish thing that some do all year, and even that can be a heroic act, as it celebrates the freedom to be Jewish in a majority non-Jewish culture. You do it by gathering around and lighting one candle for each night, so that on the second night there are 2 candles, and on the third night 3, and you get it. You light them from new candle to old, from left to right, with a blessing, of course, as shown on screen. Its central purpose is to publicize the miracles of the holiday, the light that lasted beyond expectation, and the few who were up against the many. Plus, it identifies a Jewish home. The ritual of lighting is an invitation to bring more light into our lives and to emanate a nice, warm glow during the darkest time of year. And Hanukkah is not complete without a taste of some oily foods. Remember the oil story from like a minute ago? The most common are latkes in America, and in Israel, sufganiyot, or jelly donuts. Hanukkah, great for the soul, not so much for the diet. While you're enjoying these foods, you can chew on the story of the miracles, however you define them. Imagine that each person has a little container of oil, a personal pach shemen, containing energy for their well-being. You might feel like you have just barely enough to get through the day sometimes. What would it take then to be able to refill and refuel beyond what is expected? Chag Urim Sameach. Happy Holiday of Lights. Happy Hanukkah.
thank you, James. Thank you so much. And today I want to offer James a special thanks. James has been with the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Charlottesville for 9 years. He's been a regular, important part of the music ministry. And now James has accepted a new position. He's going to be the bell choir director and spending more of his time with the Church of Our Savior Episcopal in Charlottesville. James, we're going to miss you, but we do hope that you can come and play for us sometime, some Sundays when we need you. So thank you so much, James, for the 9 years. It's been wonderful for us. Let's take a moment now to feel this time, to feel this life. In this time of increasing darkness, what is keeping the oil for your lamps? Was the oil given to you by someone? The light that sustained you in the past? Remember the hard times long ago or even in this moment. Where was the light that helped you make it through? What gave you the resilience to survive or even thrive? Today, we are a community that cares for one another. In this brief pause, welcome the quiet. Welcome the chance to hear your own breathing. And as you breathe deep, remember those you love, those nearby or those far away. Remember those living in this world and those who have died. Breathe deeply and offer quiet thanks for that breath and for all that has sustained you thus far on your journey. Love, courage, friendship, beauty, this very life. Breathe deeply and offer comfort to the places in the world that hurt. Offer comfort to the people in your lives who are in pain. And offer comfort to yourself, to the places in your own heart that need gentle love. Spirit of life and love, hold us all now in the embrace of the universe. We are one. We are part of a human family supported by the same planet Earth, breathing the air of our atmosphere, warmed by the one sun that shines on us all. May we find comfort and resilience, inspired by the relationships holding us now and over the years of our lives. For all that is our life, we give our thanks, for all life is a gift which we are called to use. Amen.
Every Sunday, as a central part of our sanctuary time of worship, we invite one another to give financial gifts to support the ongoing vital ministries of this congregation. And we also feature important social action causes, inviting you to give special gifts for the needs of our wider community. In the month of November, as a part of our congregation's food ministry, we have been raising money for hospital meal packets. This program provides emergency food assistance for people who come to the University of Virginia Medical Center from outside our area. The recipients do not have local support while they accompany a loved one who is receiving care at the hospital or are here themselves for extended outpatient treatment and do not have money to buy food for themselves. You can learn much more on our website, uucharlottesville.org. And today you can give by going online or mailing a check. And of course, we appreciate your offerings to support the ongoing ministries of the church. Whether you give through regular pledge payments online or by checks, or when you come to services, we thank you. For those of you who like to give weekly online, this is the opportunity to do so. We thank you. Together, we build the future of our congregation and our larger community. I am thankful we are all on this journey together. We share this journey with all peoples in our nation and in the world. Let us dedicate our gifts saying these words together. We accept your gifts with gratitude. May we use them wisely and for the highest good.
This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and wide. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover-leaf and high. But over west has sunlight too, and over, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine.
Thank you, UUCVille Choir. That was beautiful. The message at the end of the Hanukkah video that we just saw suggested that we need to ask all of ourselves, what oil do we need to replenish when our lamps are going dry? As we endure the difficulties of painful histories mixed with fond memories, what do we recall from our past that gave us the resilience to make it through the hard times. At Hanukkah, Jewish people remember centuries and centuries, millenniums of being persecuted, marginalized, set aside by society, or even demonized. And our 400-year-old struggle with racism has tested the resilience, the endurance, and the persistence of all who believe in justice. In these past couple of weeks, we've watched 3 trials that could be seen as indicators of where we are. In Kenosha, Wisconsin, in Georgia, and right here in Charlottesville. The 3 juries brought back verdicts that offered us the hope that while the journey and the challenges go on, there is perhaps a small glimmer of possibility that our resilience will sustain us as we are moving closer, slowly, to a more just world. In a time of increasing darkness with our winter approaching, and in the increasing crises around our world, in these difficult times, the way I've found that I've been able to authentically give a genuine thank you is to realize that what I'm really grateful for are the people that don't give up, and for the moments of grace that come from time to time. This is what helps me now. And all my life, these are the things that help me survive and grow, to persist in the face of grief, and to truly appreciate the gift of life. And so that's my Thanksgiving. It's more authentic and deep for me than just simply giving thanks for good things. I give thanks for the things which were hard, and then for the friends who kept the faith and helped me. I give thanks for the resilience that I somehow found. It's so easy to give thanks for happy and good things, but I have found in my years, it's even more meaningful when I can find a way to give thanks for the resilience to survive the tough stuff. What's been your experience? What gives you resilience? Can you recall what got you through the hard times? What keeps you going on now in spite of tough things? I've asked a couple of our members to share their own thoughts. We'll begin with Chris Little. Chris?
Well, good morning, everyone. And Linda, thank you for inviting me to share my personal story in this regard. And I'll do my best to be brief. I'd say perhaps a formative setback or hardship for me was the death of my father when I was 9, then followed by the death of my mother when I was 14. So that goes back over 40 years, and really, I would say the grief never ends. And so this has been a 40-year journey of grief, but that doesn't necessarily make it a kind of a dark journey. As a matter of fact, seeing the response of people from day one in many different ways has been very uplifting. To begin with, just my parents' friends who immediately offered to adopt us. They had no obligation to do that. But all of these offers came along from people who had no obligation, but nonetheless cared. My siblings ultimately decided that they would take care of the younger family. I'm on the young half of 10 children. And so the older siblings decided to take us in. And so that was to be loved enough to be taken into another person's home, even a sibling, was also something even at the time I felt grateful for and thankful for and valued for. What it meant, though, is that the younger siblings in the family got broken up, separated into other people's homes. And so the family as we knew it truly was broken up. And for much of my teenage years, I'd say as a result of my situation, even though there were glimmers of light, I felt different from my peers. I felt isolated. I felt less. felt sad, felt angry, and many of the other things that all of us have experienced when we have experienced grief. The list of those who got me through is too long to share in detail, certainly to itemize by name, but a few categories of folks. I'll start with my family, my siblings, of which there were 9 at the time, plus me makes 10, and now there are 8. But we've been on this journey for 44 years now across many countries, still honoring and celebrating our parents while experiencing new adversities and even grief, such as the sudden loss of our brother. But the bonds we have as a group of siblings have been just unusually strong, I'm told, from people on the outside. And in many respects, I think these bonds are strong because we were orphaned when we were young. And I think it has helped build strength and resilience among us all to have each other. There's my immediate family, whom many of you know, my wife, Tori, our children, Nora, Liam, and Kieran. On account of my childhood circumstances, I give thanks every morning for what we have as a family, perhaps even more aware of how special it is, given that it was short-lived for me as a child. Just that beautiful relationship between adult and child, and what it, parent and child, and what it means to both. And this daily gratitude also fuels my resilience. Along my journey, I've met many friends who've had similar and different childhood adversities, and sharing with each other and learning from each other has also helped build resilience and reminds me that I'm actually more the same as others than different from others. And so that has helped shift, my belief from and my feelings from when I was a child. And when certainly for me, feeling more a part of community is a source of resilience and strength than feeling isolated. I've encountered a few very competent therapists along the way who have helped me build skills and build resilience in ways that most other people couldn't, because good therapists certainly bring a competency, and I'm deeply grateful to them, and they have taught me skills that help me feel more empowered in responding to life's adversities and in engaging community to support me, and again, building resilience. There are people I've never met, others who have experienced adversity and translated that adversity to life of meaning and service, such as justice and anti-racist leaders such as Brian Stevenson, Holocaust survivors such as Edith Eger, and that list is particularly long for me, as in my adult life, I've just consumed inspiration from so many people who are out there living lives of meaning and service that in many ways are connected back to their adversity as children. And then finally, I come back around to my parents. The older I get, the more I see their role in my life and how they help prepare me for the life. When my dad was dying, he died in a very open and public way, speaking with his children and his friends and about this experience. And as a matter of fact, on my iPhone for many, many years, I've had 5 minutes of a recording of him on his deathbed. And listening to that has been a source of inspiration and strength and resilience. And then my mother's resilience and grace in responding to mental health issues all her life, but then in responding to losing her husband and soon after being diagnosed with a terminal illness herself, that she could respond to such adversity and such loss with the grace and the resilience that she brought is something I never forget. So one of the Holocaust survivors I've read is Viktor Frankl. I'm sure a number of you have heard of Viktor Frankl and his book, Man's Search for Meaning. But in it, he says that suffering ceases to become suffering when it assumes meaning. And I think that seeking and finding the meaning in the suffering has actually probably been, and through the stories of all these other people and the experience, has probably for the most part helped nurture and build resilience and a motivation to build meaning out of the adversity. So thank you for hearing that story, and
well, thank you
for being part of the community that also supports me.
Well, thank you, Chris, so much for being willing to share what has given you resilience and what ultimately you can give thanks for. And I'd also like to invite Debbie Norton to share a few of her thoughts. Debbie?
Hi. So I've been inspired by Viktor Frankl too, Chris. And another book that has been with me my whole life has been the Tao Te Ching. And I'd like to read to you number 13. Success is as dangerous as failure. Hope is as hollow as fear. What does it mean that success is as dangerous as failure? Whether you go up the ladder or down it, your position is shaky. When you stand with your 2 feet on the ground, you always keep your balance. What does it mean that hope is as hollow as fear? Hope and fear are both phantoms that arise from thinking of the self. When we don't see the self as self, what do we have to fear? See the world as yourself. Have faith in the way things are. Love the world as yourself. Then you can care for all things. When I was in my 20s, I often had a recurring dream of being caught in a massive tornado and having it bear down on me. Then I would wake up, heart racing. I would then realize it was a stress dream relating to my parents' finances. The parents I'm speaking of here are my biological parents. Some of you know I'm lucky enough to be the daughter-in-law of Greta Dersheimer. It's not Greta and Dick I'm speaking of here, it's my own parents, David and Elaine. When I was in my last year of college, my father took what he thought was a reasonable risk with a colleague he trusted to invest in a new business. Unfortunately, the colleague was not to be trusted, and my parents lost everything. My parents came from small Kansas towns, hence the connection with tornadoes in my experience, and had launched off into a dreamlike existence of expanding horizons with my father's job. We lived in beautiful large houses. We toured a variety of foreign countries on our way home from our home in Iran. And we visited my grandparents every summer. And now that was all over, and I watched with great worry as they and my younger sister, who was college age, struggled in Kent, Ohio. My sister was ready to go to college, but thankfully, instead of giving up on her education, she learned that she could have a full scholarship at Kent State based on income. While my father plunged into a depression, my mother became the primary breadwinner, and she worked incredibly hard. After losing their home, they rented a low-income unit as they got back on their feet. I watched them make a home and learn to enjoy the little things together as they never had before. Slowly, they built their way back to a nicer rental home, and my father found work again. As I look back on that time, I realized witnessing both sides of fortune in my family were incredibly instructive for me as a young person. First and foremost, I learned not to attach value to someone's station in life and to their possessions. I learned that there's an inner core of strength available to us, that there is always a way, and that people reach out to help if you ask. These times made me realize how fickle life can be and how hard people can struggle for financial well-being. I understood how scary financial insecurity can feel, and I already knew it, but I learned through experience how it is vital for us to reach out to the people in our society who have been systemically excluded from bettering their financial situation, to essentially love the world as yourself.
Oh, thank you, Debbie, and thank you, Chris, both of you, for sharing your thoughts. And of course, each of you could share, everyone attending could tell us a story about what it is that has given their life meaning and given them the resilience to give thanks even in hard times. November is almost over, and for this past month, we've been considering how do we hold our history, not just the happy and the good parts, but the painful parts as well. In December, the Soulful Matters theme will shift to opening to joy. I believe the psalmist who sings that pain and anger last a while, and at night we may cry, but kindness and love lasts for a lifetime. When morning comes, we will celebrate. Maya Angelou, at the opening of the Smithsonian African American History Museum, said, "History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, but if faced with courage, need not be lived again." We can make the choice to feel the pain, acknowledge the history, and find the resilience to awaken to the morning, to give thanks, and to be open again to joy. We choose.
We are stronger than our pain. We are greater than our fear. We are made of each I am, and we choose where we stand. We don't you let no pain and fear drown our pain. We don't you let no pain and anger greater than our fear. We honor your pain, made of each I am. We choose where we stand. We can stand for peace and justice, stand for peace. We can stand for creating, we'll choose to stand for love. There is power in each I am. We choose where we stand.
The poet Robert Bly died this past week. Recently, as he was considering what he had learned over his many years, he himself cited his 2011 poem called "Keeping Our Small Boat Afloat" to describe his feelings as his life was ending. I offer this poem now to you as an Advent gift to give thanks for our resilience. So many blessings have been given to us during the first distribution of light that we are admired in 1,000 galaxies for our grief. Don't expect us to appreciate creation or to avoid mistakes. Each of us is a latecomer to the earth, picking up wood for the fire. Every night, another beam of light slips out, so don't give up hope that the door of mercy may still be open. Tell me, are you still grieving over the spark of light that descended with no defender near into the Egypt of Mary's womb? Each of us deserves to be forgiven, if only for our persistence in keeping our small boat afloat when so many have gone down in the storm. Amen. And this then, my friends, is our thanksgiving for resilience.
My life flows on in endless song above Earth's lamentation. I hear the real, the far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds echoing my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me rolls? I know the truth, it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to rejoice both far and near. How can I keep from singing? No prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
So we lit the chalice in thanksgiving for all that we have been given and for all that sustains us. As we extinguish the chalice, remember to hold that in your hearts and let it inspire your living. And now James will play us a song to open us to the joy. Amen.